Toronto Blue Jays have made multiple moves, and following what has been a crazy season and a crazy past couple days to this Toronto Blue Jays team, they have made a couple of very crucial moves, and one that have fans very intrigued. We're going to break down exactly what those moves are and discuss what it means going forward, as well as multiple big Jays updates ahead of course, today's game against the Rangers, in which the Jays attempt to sweep. But before we get into it all, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, you guys have been absolute beasts for the support, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys again for your continued support over here. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot to go over today, and obviously, a quick note, bear with the setup. I will be back for the next video. I'll be back home on my normal setup, just doing a little bit of traveling this weekend. Your guys' support's been unbelievable regardless, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys have been beasts for the support. Folks, lots to go over today, and obviously the Jays are in a very unique stretch right now. They are first in the AL East. They are first in the American League, and things are looking very, very good. But yesterday, before the game and into some updates this morning, some big news has dropped, and let's dive into the first move here, which is pretty, I don't know if controversial is the word, but it's a very, I predicted it in yesterday morning's video, and I said this is probably the move that's ultimately going to be done, but it is George Springer being reinstated from the 7-day IL, and we saw him yesterday, but it is Joey Loperfido that has been optioned to AAA, and of course, most of us probably, expected Joey Loperfido to go down, but there's been some comments from John Schneider that, not a lot of people are talking about that I want to get into here, but let's start with the move itself. George Springer being reinstated is massive news. He went 1 for 4 in yesterday's game, but it seems like he's going to be playing some more leadoff against left-handed pitchers, which is something that we haven't seen yet this year. I mean, the season started off with Bichette leading off, and Andres Jimenez in the 4-hole, and a lot of the players who were on that Jays team at the start of the year are no longer with the Jays. But seeing him, Joey Loperfido sent down, it makes sense. David Schneider has been mashing. We saw it again yesterday, went absolutely insane, even with a home run. I think 3 or 4 hits with 4 RBIs, whatever it was. David Schneider is not the guy you send down. He has great numbers against lefties and even better numbers, surprisingly, against righties. It was always going to be Joey Loperfido. You don't have a ton of lefties coming up. You have a good few lefties coming up, against starting rotations that you're going up against. But also, the Jays have a lot of lefties in their lineup. You have Verasho, you have Nathan Lucas, you have Andres Jimenez, and it makes it to the point now where, not that it's, Joey Loperfido. I mean, he deserved to stay with the team. It's not like he deserved to be sent down, but Bennett makes a good point here. He says that the Blue Jays might be the only team in baseball who could comfortably send down a guy who's currently hitting .358 with a .409 OPS and a .509 slug, and for that to be the best move. The depth in this year's team is ridiculous, LMAO. And obviously, it goes to show that, and I briefly discussed it in yesterday's video in the morning, it goes to show how crucial the depth on this team has been. You think about guys like Myles Straw, 2 home runs yesterday, but just his, depth defensively. You think about everybody else on this team, and for Joey Loperfido to get sent down, it's literally a matter of numbers. He'll obviously get recalled back, probably September 1st, almost definitely September 1st, and I'm sure they told him that at the time. It's not his fault at all. He absolutely did what he had to do, but you're not going to DFA Ty France. He would hit waivers. You're not going to DFA Myles Straw. He would hit waivers, and you're at a point now where you cannot afford to get rid of players with the way the vibe is going and all these different things. And quite frankly, Myles Straw deserves to stay on this team, right? There's no doubt about it. He deserves to stay on the team. And that's basically what John Schneider had to say. And regarding the lineup, he had to say this. John Schneider says that the Blue Jays lineup will remain fluid, but it definitely sounds like there's an openness to keeping George Springer in that leadoff spot, which is very, very interesting because the lineup has been pretty similar the whole year since George Springer went out. But even before that, obviously once Springer went out, they started to, and even before that a little bit, they started to experiment with putting, Bichette in the 4-hole, Bichette around, out of the leadoff spot, and putting Nathan Lucas at the leadoff spot against righties, and then Ernie Clement against lefties. It seems now they're more willing to put guys like George Springer in the leadoff spot against lefties and have Clement further down the lineup. And what that'll do, it'll allow, obviously, your leadoff guy to be George Springer, who has the potential to hit a home run, and that's also one of the best leadoff hitters of all time. But not only that, it keeps the lineup deeper. You have Alejandro Kirk in the 6th spot. You have Verasho in the 7th spot. You have Ernie Clement in the 8th spot, depending on the lineup. And if Addison Barger's in there, the lineup is so deep that it's just absolutely incredible. And you can see from Jamie Campbell, the Jays are bound to face difficult roster decisions. Loperfido is one of those, or was the first of those, rather. John Schneider calls it an undeserved demotion. And that's the best way to put it. Was it deserved? No. Is it the way that the business is? Yes. And am I sure he's going to be called up September 1st? Basically, almost all but confirmed there. So let me know down below, do you agree with the move? And also, of course, some big updates surrounding where the Jays currently stand regarding their lineup. We saw it yesterday. Springer went 1 for 4, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens, of course, going forward here. Now, one other move that was made official was the Blue Jays finalizing a $1.5 million agreement with Korean high schooler Sejun Moon. That's pending a physical. Industry sources tell me and Aaron Zwelling and Francis Romero, of course. I covered that a few days ago. Feel free to check out the video if you haven't already, but it's officially made official. And Blake Murphy makes a good point here. He says this and a pair of Myles Straw homers, because in the trade that they acquired some international bonus pool money, which was supposed to go to Roki Sasaki, which they ultimately used to land this guy. And of course, they also got a Myles Straw, acquisition who has been worth 1.5 WAR this year if you average out the B WAR and the F WAR from Fangraphs and Baseball Reference. So an absolute robbery of a deal on that end. Ultimately, folks, we're at a point now where this Jays team is so on fire. They're so good that I'm happy with the way that everything has went. But we also have some interesting updates. Now, yesterday, I briefly covered some injury updates. I briefly covered some things around, that. A couple more, came out and came to light a little bit. And a couple ones I didn't cover, some housekeeping stuff from yesterday, is a few different things here. But first, I want to cover comments from Myles Straw following yesterday's win. He said, I talked to guys about how special this team is, how great the city is. It's been a blast here. I love this place. I love the people. I love everything about it. I don't take a day for granted here. I love everything about it. And thinking how far Myles Straw has come, right? Think about when the trade, he played in the minors all but 4 games last year in the regular season in the big leagues. Coming here, he's seen as a throw-in, probably going to start the season in Buffalo, made the team out of camp, and has not missed a beat. And obviously, this means a lot to him because of the fact that he was a minor leaguer last year. And of course, no matter how much money you're making, you want to still be with the big league club. He did it. He took advantage of it, and he ultimately has deserved and has propelled himself into one of the most reliable bench outfielders in the MLB, and that's ultimately what he did. And for those interested as well, he stopped using the torpedo bat yesterday, and he ultimately hit 2 home runs, so he won't be going back to the torpedo bat anytime soon. So good to see that from Myles Straw. He deserves it, as much as anyone here, and you obviously love to see that, especially for guys whose not career seemed all but done. You could argue that. We think back to the backlash that everybody had when they actually made that move for Myles Straw, and they missed out on Sasaki. Everyone's like, okay, Myles Straw's going to get DFA'd before the season starts. Then it was Myles Straw's going to get DFA'd once Verasho comes back. And then it was, and no one really believed that, but that was the initial thoughts. And then now it's ultimately Myles Straw's here to stay and is going to help propel this team to a run. And that's what John Schneider thinks as well, as the Jays are now 99.6% chance to make the playoffs, 84.2% chance to win the division. The Red Sox won, so you're still 5 games up in the AL East, technically 6 games up because you own the tiebreaker on both the Yankees and the Red Sox. So tiebreaker on the Red Sox and the Yankees, essentially 6 games up with a good bit of games left, but we're over 2/3 of the way here, folks. And what an exciting time to be a Jays fan. A couple other updates before we wrap up. I covered Santander yesterday, but Jimmy Garcia, I briefly mentioned this, and I showed this tweet. I kind of go over it again from what's the new information we heard. It seems like he's dealing with something a little bit more serious. Like he's not going to be back anytime soon, which is going to elevate the roles of guys like, of course, Louis Verlin, guys like Sir Anthony Dominguez, Jeff Hoffman, obviously he's going to be the closer. And to see Nick Sandlin playing catch at the 120 feet, good news there. He should be back in relatively soon order. But folks, the team's getting healthy. You have Jimmy Garcia and Nick Sandlin, somewhat progressing, especially Nick Sandlin. And you got a point now, folks, where this team is rolling. Shane Bieber is on the way back. Andres Jimenez is finally healthy. And this Jays team is ready to take over the AL East for the first time in a very long time. That'll wrap it up. You guys are beasts. Cheers.